Good afternoon, Mr. Alakesh Rai, and welcome to SSMB interview. With over 44 years of journey in the steel construction industry, how would you describe this magnificent journey of yours?
See, Zamil started from the Middle East, Saudi, and you know that we are a big group over there. So we are a diversified group also. And we started in the year 1977. So the journey has been good in Saudi and the Middle East and also Africa. And in the year 1997, we ventured into Asia, where we had started with the first factory in Hanoi in 1997, and then the second factory in 2007 in Ho Chi Minh. And also in the year 2007, we entered into India. Now, the story everywhere is a bit different. It is not following the same kind of a path and trajectory. So what was good for India at that point of time and before that, suddenly with that bubble bursting in USA, and there is a Lehman Brothers case, so everything went for a toss. And in 2008-9, we had a serious issue with regards to growth, and everything fell flat. So we had initially a very tough start because you have set up the plant and a big plant, and then subsequently what happened was the demand dropped, and also the first 2-3 years were not that great for Zamil. Subsequently, what has happened in the last 4-5 years, bearing the last year, which is a COVID year, we have been able to grow at a rate of almost 35-36% CAGR. So, which is beyond the market or the segment which has grown. Segment has grown at the rate of maximum 10 to 12% in the best of times. Normally, it grows at around 8%. So we had grown. And also, if you look at if you do a benchmark analysis, we were not even in the top 3 in even 5 years back or 6 years back. Now we are in the second bracket. So we have we were almost between the leader and us, we were around 20% of the leader in terms of volume. Now we are almost 60% of the leader in terms of volume. It is not that the industry has not grown. Industry has also grown. Players have also come in. But what has happened is we have been able to grow faster than the marketplace. Other than that, what we have done as a company is we have not limited ourselves to the standard PEB nomenclature. We have augmented on our capabilities. And over the period of time, we have ventured into all kinds of steel structures, be it hot rolled, be it plate, be it tubes, be it you name it, we have. We have a single integrated plant which can handle everything. What has done to us is that this has given us a tremendous leverage in terms of positioning ourselves as a leadership position in the concept stage. So any new concept building which is coming up or any new segment which is opening up, we are there. So be it warehousing, and today if you see the EV segment also, we have bagged the largest EV contract and the most talked about contract in the recent times, and the scale of the contract you are aware of. Also subsequently, we have been able to bag other orders which are coming in the EV front, and we have taken the lead over there. Earlier, we had taken the lead in warehousing, and we have done we are at around 70% of the market share was with us. So this new segment identification and focus has given us a lot of mileage in the market.
So like you said, sir, you all started with the Middle East. So what is your take on Indian steel construction industry vis-a-vis overseas?
Okay. If you look at the Indian consumption story, it is purely a domestic driven. So that is where that is a good and bad situation both. See, when I am also taking care of the Vietnam unit, and from there we have offices in 10 countries outside Vietnam. In Vietnam, we have got 4 offices, and our 65% of the volume in Vietnam comes from export. And export is not only to the ASEAN countries, it is right from Australia to South America, North America, and Europe. What happened in India is we are too much dependent on domestic growth because of several factors. If you want me to elaborate, that can be elaborated in a bigger way. We have got a policy where we cannot import, or there is a duty to the import, to the point that export incentives are today curtailed. So export is not a focus area for Indian industries or for the government as of now, for the steel structurals. Whereas if you see, most of the developed countries are not doing any kind of fabrication, they are importing. So we have lost out on that. But on the flip side, if you see, India as a country has grown and the infrastructure is developing. So that opens a huge market for every player which is they are present in India. But my take on the overall growth scenario will be that if you are not able to export, the long-term sustainability of this kind of a growth model is unsustainable. So this is my take on the Indian industry. When I talk about, say, a country our presence in Egypt and even Saudi. Saudi is also self-sufficient independently. They are catering to the internal demands because their growth was dependent on a lot of US investment. Of late, they are facing a lot of flack because the economy is not growing and the oil industry is also stagnant. So no new explorations and all those are happening. If you see the Middle East, even the growth in the Middle East have stopped. But when you go to Africa, you'll see so many so many countries are developing on their own. From the east coast of, say, Kenya, Sudan to the west coast of Senegal, Morocco, on the north Morocco and the south is South Africa. So there is a huge scope in Africa. And my take on our presence in Africa is that we are missing out on the opportunities that the eastern part of Africa presents, because that is where the Indians and the Indian industry can do ready business because of our port and the long coastline and the proximity to that place. So Kenya, Mozambique, Tanzania, South Africa should be the business potential for us. We are getting inquiries, but the only thing is that the cost and the freight which has gone up is putting us in a deterrent mode.
So, like we've heard that we know Zamil has done really successful projects in the pandemic year, especially, and in warehouses along with ESR and lot. So, sir, could you please share your experience on the milestones achieved by Zamil?
See, what has happened with the warehouse industry is earlier the warehouses are built in a small kind of a box structure. So the concept of integrated warehouse has come, and Zamil has actually been a part of that or had led that journey. Today, if you go to any mega warehouse, it is a facility which is minimum, say, 400 meters by 300 meters or 500 meters by 400 meters. It's a huge. It is bigger than the Bombay airport or even Delhi airport. And there you have got assembly line, packaging lines, and then if you see that the whole industry has gone through a change that the goods are coming in, they are packaged, and then their labels are put for destination, and the truck is moving out with the goods. So it is it is almost like a factory in operation, and no longer it is a manual packing and limited kind of. It is like a factory now. If you go to this, a multi-level, and then the automated tracking systems are there, the tracking systems are there, and the delivery within 2 days, or now the concept has come instant delivery, has led to this kind of a growth all across. So we have been a part of that. We have been able to do last one structure having our the standing seam profile, which is a zero leak profile, and also with the environmentally that we don't want to have a daylight or powered daylight, so that clear roof on the top. So all those developments were done by us. So there is a real thing which we have done in the industry to move ahead. Now, when we say that, and then when you go to other structures that we have gone into high-rise, we have converted horizontal factories into vertical factories. And that has been a key landmark in the industry, and people are talking about it. So with the building growing taller, you can have your manufacturing unit and a multi-level. And that is not limited to a certain kind of industry. Now every industry is going for it.
So talking more about warehouses that you all have done, Zamil has benchmarked the supply chain practices.
Yeah.
What is your take on the future of Indian supply chain and logistic industry?
See, if you look at from the supply chain industry, the supply chain industry has also evolved over a period of time, because it is no longer dependent on the factory, and it is more dependent on the warehouse. Now that is true for commodities which are lighter and heavier. For the steel, that real challenge which has come is that whatever may be the supply chain, until as you have got the stock here and the goods freely moving. So that is a real challenge. Now what we have done, we have gone into a partnership with all the major steel mills to create a sort of a yard for the steel to be stored. Like we have got a yard by Tata Steel in Khalapur. So, and from there they distribute. Unless you do that, it is not possible every time that the material will start from Jamshedpur or Kalinganagar and then coming over here. Same with JSPL. So across the industry and across the nation, distribution have become better, and the companies have put forward their own stake into the distribution setup, which is helping us. Earlier, this was done by traders. Now the companies directly are doing it. So, like if you see in our Ranjangaon, the MIDC, Tata Steel also has a processing plant. So, Tata Steel Processing and Distribution is a plant in Ranjangaon. So that is helping everyone, not only us. It is helping even the auto industry. It is helping the fabrication industry. It is helping the traders. It is helping everyone.
Now we are hit by the second wave of the COVID. What do you think is the key challenges encountered by the Indian steel fabrication industry? How do you think we can overcome?
See, even before COVID, the main challenge today is the steel price, which has gone up beyond the roof. Today, at this moment of time, steel price is exactly double than what it was in the July last year. Main challenge is with this kind of project cost, I don't think capex is a viable option. That is what will prove to be a big deterrent in the coming days. Now, coming to COVID, the first COVID was a period when people were scared but optimistic. This round of COVID, people are scared and pessimistic. I don't know whether when this second wave will subside, and I am also not sure whether there will be no third wave. So people and jobs are at stake, and the indicators are very, very challenging and disturbing. We cannot shut the economy and shut the society and move ahead in this world. So that is my take. I hope you are not quoting me this because I'll be termed as a outsider. But yes, this is a true feeling and true fact by all industries.
Okay, and how do we overcome it? The second part of the question.
See, I'll tell you, this is what I have told even in my CII avatar as a chairman last year. If you look at even the factories or even the offices, they are much more safer place than the place where the people stay. If you look at even typically Bombay or Pune or even any city for that matter, and where the majority of the people stay, are very high congested societies. So in those high congested societies, the chances of disease spreading is much higher than in a factory or in an office. So until unless you have this sense that by locking people up, it will not actually help. It will not going to help the economy in progress. See, if you look at the essentials, why are you stopping people to sell? Now, if someone has a disease, he can lock himself up. He or she can lock himself or herself up. Why do you lock the whole society in large? Now, there are bigger challenges in front of the government. I'm sure they are addressing it. So there will be bigger challenges in the coming days also. Last year, I can cite my example is that we were discussing of masks and sanitizers and ventilators. This year, we are not talking about sanitizers, ventilators and masks. We are talking about oxygen. Now, if you ask me whether this is a creation of today, it is not a creation of today. You have allowed hospitals to be set up without oxygen plants. So today, suddenly, when the demand is overshooting the supply, and it is not about oxygen generation which is a problem, it is the logistics of oxygen which is the problem. So there are huge ramifications to all this. So tomorrow, if you say that, okay, we have taken care of now oxygen, now sanitizers, ventilators, concentrators, I do not know what the third wave will bring in. So the fear of unknown has set in amongst the people. Hope I am not scaring you.
No, it's correct. So moving on, let's focus on the positive. What are your key focus, customer focus segment, and how different is Zamil from its competitors?
See, we are now focusing on, as an industry, we always focus on the areas of growth, because I have told this, I think, to you also earlier, that CapEx is the first thing to stop and the last thing to start. So we are now focusing on closing all our existing projects. We are now focusing on whatever new projects come up, has to be finished either on time or before time. And also, the biggest focus today is to how to keep our employees healthy. There are cases of COVID positive, but then we are taking care to take care of them adequately well. And also, the vaccination comes through. As the industry body, will be providing the vaccination facilities to everyone, so that people have a sense of security and safety for them.
What makes ZAMIL different from its competitors?
Yes, we are withstanding this pandemic, and okay, we have not retrenched even one person during last year or even this year. We believe in our team, and we believe in pulling through the tough times. If our employees are with us during the good times, they are also with us during the bad times. So I think that philosophy of ZAMIL as a group will help us to move forward. And I am getting a lot of reports from the industry that, okay, people are losing their jobs, people are closing down, shutting down. Yes, that is a short-term option, but in the long term, it doesn't pay off. You cannot start and stop and build the industry and the company. So we are moving along. And we are hopeful that the future is always better than what we are in today. We were moving in the right directions, but then God has other ways of testing us.
So, sir, what according to you should be the strategy adopted to promote steel construction in India?
First of all, the price should come down. There should be some regulation in price. I think today people have understood the virtues of steel. There is no question about that. It is not that steel, whether to promote usage of steel, even from the secretary to a common man, everyone knows the usage. Everyone knows the value. Everyone knows what USP the steel can give in terms of speed and all those things. The only thing is that the viability, when you put a viability as a question mark, then it becomes a real issue. So the good thing about now, what even the Honorable Minister Nitin ji has said, that time has come to search for alternatives in steel. And that is what will grow this industry, the construction industry and the fabrication industry to a next level. You see automobiles. Had the same old automobiles been produced now, the prices would have been 10 times more than what you're getting. So usage of plastics, alternative materials, aluminum has reduced the weight, and synthetic materials across the production of cars has actually helped the industry to grow more. So today the content of steel in a automobile is very less. It is 35-36% in terms of value, and the rest are all others. So when we as an industry, we are also thinking of usage of alternate materials in construction. It will actually help the industry to grow more. So over-dependence on steel has to end, and then some other material should be used. While if you see, even Nitin ji is always vociferating this particular concern, because the infrastructure cost will go up if we are only dependent on steel.
So what are your future plans?
Future plans is we want to grow in India. Our principles are very, very optimistic, and in the last 2 years, no other company in the steel fabrication has added to the capacity and capability. We have done it. The latest addition, even Sagar can share. We have installed a beam drilling line from Germany. We don't have anything as a back-end order for that, but we want to highlight that to the customer and go ahead and use it as a USP to serve a better span of design and detailing kind of environment. Another thing which has happened over a period of last 2 years, specifically, I can say, we have gone totally digital. There is no single movement of paper now in the organization. In fact, the courier is out. The printing machine has gone out of the whole thing. The mega printer, which used to print A0 size, have all gone out of the premises. So it is now wholly on cloud. We are migrating from Oracle i12 to Fusion, and also we are 100% all our design detailing is on a software based rather than on a manual based. So now Tekla is the in thing. Now, if you look at even during the COVID times, earlier the modeling cannot be shared when people, suppose someone is staying in Baner and someone is staying in Kharadi. Today, the software integration has been done to the extent that even the screens can be shared. So people can see when somebody is doing. So those are the real positives that you have got out of this COVID scenario in the last 2 years. So that is one good thing which has happened. So everything is digitized, everything is on cloud. People did not ask, people should fetch. So I have told everyone, don't ask, fetch the data. Every data is there, you fetch it. There is no need of here. So that has given a big boost to the way we do. Today we are no hard copy movement there, and everyone has all our material receipts are through the mobile. So even the complaints tracking is through mobile, everything is, and every information goes to the customer through mobile. So there are a lot of positives amongst this pandemic also.